This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
It's become more available, it's cheaper, but it's also the most highly potent, addictive drug in the world, and it's become very scary for a lot of our folks in the community.
Treating opioid addiction, Florida is getting millions in federal dollars after Governor Rick Scott declared a state of emergency. But what about other states in the grips of this deadly epidemic? Congressman Vern Buchanan has been a champion in the fight. So why did he vote for the American Health Care Act, which would actually cut funding for treatment in many states? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on the opioid epidemic and treatment funding coming up. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. We continue to be dry as a tinder, and we begin tonight in Northport, where a wildfire has now burned 3,500 acres. Some good news: the high winds fanning the flames are decreasing, and it's helping crews get a leg up on battling the fire. The Rain Tree Fire began on Saturday at the RV Griffin Preserve and has continued to spread. Fire crews from across the state remain on the scene tonight, monitoring hot spots to keep them from reigniting. A team of firefighters even made their way from South Carolina to assist.
This past fall, when you heard of all the fires going on in the Appalachian Mountains, we were asking for help, and other states came and helped us, so we do not mind coming and returning the favor to other states.
The fire is nearly 35% contained. The big task tonight, using bulldozers to create gaps between the brush and trees to prevent further spread of the fire. New developments in the murder trial of Andres Avalos. A jury in Manatee County is set, and today was opening arguments. Avalos is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the December 2014 deaths of his wife Amber, their neighbor Denise Potter, and Pastor James Tripp Battle. Jurors heard from Avalos' uncle, Lieutenant Joel Perez, who testified Avalos called him the afternoon of the murders and said he left 2 bodies for him.
I was drawn back. I did take him serious. I did not ask him any further questions. So we hung up, and that's when I immediately called my sister.
Prosecutors say the motive was jealousy over a suspected affair. The defense is focusing on mental health issues. If convicted, Avalos could be put to death. Manatee County is considering major changes to the Bradenton Area Convention Center to accommodate a growing number of tourists. The goal is to add 700 new hotel rooms and make the center more millennial-friendly with a rooftop bar. Tourism is up for a 5th consecutive year in Manatee County, with around 3 million visitors last year. A Texas-based developer is working to develop single-family homes in place of a vacant hardware store at the corner of School Avenue and Ringling Boulevard. The lots are expected across from Payne Park and would be called Payne Park Village. 135 units could be available in the next 3 years. Sarasota City Commission is hearing comment on the project tonight. Happening tonight, Sarasota City Commissioners are hearing from the public about whether downtown businesses should pay higher taxes. City Commissioners in 2007 voted to increase tax fees by 5% every 2 years. If they decide to increase the rate again, it would cost businesses an average of $100 a year. Some are calling the proposed increase an attack on small businesses. Now a scam alert. Sarasota police are warning about a Craigslist rental scam here on the Suncoast. Scammers are hijacking real rental and real estate listings by changing the contact information and reposting the listings. The scammers promise low rent or great amenities and will ask you to pay them in advance. The bottom line, if a listing appears too good to be true, it probably is. Some quick signs of a scam: they will tell you to wire money. They want a security deposit before you've signed a lease, or the lister says they are out of the country. Last year, Florida Fish and Wildlife received almost 13,000 complaints about nuisance alligators, and the agency is taking action, including here on the Suncoast. The FWC relocated more than 8,000 alligators to remote areas. 116 of them in Bradenton and 176 were in Sarasota. An alligator is determined to be a nuisance if it is more than 4 feet and poses a threat to people, pets, property, including footballs. If you encounter one of these gators, you're asked to call 866-FWC-5000. gator. And yes, Bob, that was a reference to the gators.
Absolutely. A lot of gators removed in Manatee and Sarasota counties. We have an interesting thing that just happened, Alan. I was watching the radar right now with the sweep, and a funnel cloud has been spotted down in Charlotte County. This has just happened within the last few minutes, and again, the storm report indicating a lightning strike too. Get a look at that. That's what we were worried about, are these lone showers and storms that produce lightning strikes, which in turn can cause fires down the road. So we'll have to keep an eye on this activity. It's moving in a west-southwesterly direction. Again, there's been some hail reports with this, funnel reports as well. And this, again, a funnel cloud spotted just about, 10 minutes ago, moving off toward the southwest. And this funnel cloud did not touch the ground, but it was right there by the airport, Punta Gorda Airport, moving off toward the southwest. I mentioned the rainfall. It's heavy in some areas, so a little bit of a line of showers developing along the sea breeze front right there from 41 just to the west of Port Charlotte, and moving off toward a west-southwesterly direction. So Rotunda and Placida, look out, some rainfall there around 8 o'clock in Placida, Rotunda 8:08. It should be in Inglewood. If it holds together around 8:30 or so, we'll see if it does. We could use the rainfall. The fire danger scale continues to show Manatee and Sarasota counties the driest of the bunch, and we are the driest of the state too, with our numbers surpassing 650 or right at it in Manatee and Sarasota counties.
And still no rain really in sight.
Not enough for us right now, no.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, Manatee County is the epicenter of Florida's opioid epidemic. After an emotional meeting with the agencies fighting the problem, a state of emergency is guaranteeing more funds. But could other states have their support cut? We'll explain when we return.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-809-5196 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-809-5196. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
You only have one life. Are you gambling with it? 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure. Not knowing your numbers could cause you to lose, big time. Luckily, you can turn the odds in your favor by getting your blood pressure checked today. Don't leave your health to chance. Learn more at heart.org/HPB.
Today, the air is perfect. Inside. Expect more from your cooling and heating. Daikin.
Come on in, welcome to our pad. Trust me, folks, you're in for a ride. I'm driving, so relax. Unwind, leave your bum hits all behind. Get ready to blow your mind. In Beatsville, don't be shy. Come and make the scene. Catch the crazy party inside. The hipsters here are gone and dig, man, they're on to something big. Yeah, they're gonna flip your wig in Beatsville. Catch the gig in Beatsville.
Very few things seem to be bipartisan these days in Washington or Tallahassee, but the opioid epidemic is one of them. Governor Rick Scott has declared a state of emergency. Congressman Vern Buchanan is trying to get federal assistance, but as Kate Flexter explains, there are questions about public comments and how our representatives vote. Kate.
Thanks, Alan. With that public health emergency, Florida will receive $27 million in federal funding. The question now is where that money will go and what good it will do in the fight.
Emergency 911, this line is being recorded.
For years, Manatee County has in many ways been the epicenter of Florida's heroin epidemic, tearing apart families like Jerry Stanhope's.
I lost my son, I lost my grandson.
In just a year, she lost 4 family members to heroin.
I just wonder if it's touched my family so many times and so seriously. Look at all the others out there. I mean, it's affected a lot of people.
But it wasn't until this month that Governor Rick Scott declared a public health emergency following a series of community opioid workshops, one of which was held in Manatee County.
I kind of felt like, oh wow, somebody's listening for a change.
A recent report from the Florida Behavioral Health Association says opioids such as heroin lead to nearly 10 deaths a day in the state, killing someone every 2.5 hours. Manatee County tops the list with the highest number of overdose deaths per capita. The Manatee County Sheriff's Office made more than 1,000 drug-related arrests last year and confiscated nearly $2 million in narcotics. Meanwhile, in Tallahassee, lawmakers imposed stiffer penalties for possession of a synthetic form of the drug called fentanyl. Drug dealers whose customers overdose on the powerful painkiller will now be charged with murder. But the general consensus is to shift the focus from arrests to easily accessible treatment. And this public health emergency will do just that, directing $27 million in federal funding to the state for treatment. Already, Congressman Vern Buchanan has asked the governor to direct a large chunk of that funding to Sarasota and Manatee counties. The congressman has long been considered a champion in the local fight against the epidemic, and in past interviews told us it's a top priority.
It's become more available, it's cheaper, but it's also the most highly potent, addictive drug in the world, and it's become very scary for a lot of our folks in the community.
In Washington, though, Buchanan voted in favor of repealing Obamacare and replacing it with the Republican majority's American Health Care Act, a bill that, beginning in 2020, would do away with the requirement that Medicaid cover mental health and addiction services in states that expanded Medicaid, leaving it up to each state to decide. The concern is that option for states would allow them to choose not to cover the nearly 1.3 million Americans who rely on those services. Florida didn't expand Medicaid, so this would not have local impact. But it could have an impact in states like Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia that are also battling this epidemic. We reached out to Buchanan for an interview, but a spokesperson for the congressman told us he was spending time with his new granddaughter and was unavailable during the House's 11-day recess.
Vern Buchanan should be spending this congressional recess explaining to his constituents why he voted for the American Health Care Act.
Buchanan did explain in a statement, since Florida never expanded Medicaid, this will not be a factor as it will be in some other states. The bill does allot $100 billion through 2026 for states to offer financial assistance for high-risk patients, including those battling substance abuse. Melissa Larkin-Skinner of Centerstone Addiction Treatment says accessible care is crucial in the fight.
Regardless of what we do, prevention-wise or law enforcement-wise, we have to have an answer for these folks that are really struggling now.
The public health emergency funding will focus on treatment, specifically medication-assisted treatment. Larkin-Skinner says that's an important part of the fight, but says the most common request she gets is for inpatient care, a request that's hard to meet with few beds and growing demand.
It's all about them being separated from that drug that, we're afraid is going to kill them.
For families like Stanhope's, the clock is ticking while they wait for change.
I still have people in my family and real close friends of theirs that are still using, and I just wait for that phone call.
As for how much funding each county will receive, that's up to the Department of Children and Families.
Okay, thank you. And coming up, the politics of addiction when we take it to the trapezoid.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready.
go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
It's fine that other people like you. It's more important that you like yourself. And I'm comfortable with every part of me. Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound assures me that I'm not forgotten. They care that I'm okay. My name is Asha Ida Bell. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less. Featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest to support your head, neck, and shoulders, bedside power plugs, under-bed night lights, and more. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less than Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You've got to see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-774-8103. That's 1-800-774-8103. Call now.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Welcome back. How bad is the opioid epidemic and what kind of resources are there? Overdose is now the leading cause of accidental death in the United States for people ages 25 to 64, more than car accidents. In the first 3 months of this year, 276 people overdosed in Manatee County. 36 of those overdoses were fatal. Manatee leads the state in overdoses thanks to a state of emergency declaration. Florida will receive more than $27 million from the federal government to address the epidemic. However, the GOP health care plan could impact the coverage and ability of Floridians to get treatment. States opting to expand Medicaid could suffer even more, losing the addiction treatment mandate. And joining us for more on tonight's topic is PJ Brooks, Vice President of Outreach and Youth Services at First Step Addiction Recovery, Frank Alcock, a professor of political science at New College of Florida and an ABC7 political analyst, and Rod Thompson, president of the Sarasota Republican Club. And PJ, I'm going to start with you because you just gave us some incredible information in terms of your funding here on the Suncoast from the state, and what is it?
Unfortunately, we just received news this past week that our Mothers and Infants program that treats pregnant women who are addicted to chemicals is going to receive a $278,000 cut, which represents 35% of the overall budget of the program. What that translates to is we're estimating that about 32 mothers and babies will not get the care that they would have received at a major cost to our taxpayers.
And this is from the state budget, which, as we reported last week, was negotiated in secret and basically pushed out to legislators at the last minute to vote on?
Up until the conference that was held, the closed-door conference, our funding looked like it was safe, and then right after the meeting behind closed doors, the decision was made, we were cut. So it happened at the last minute.
Any explanation what happened?
At this point, we haven't received any. In fact, those that we have talked to at Department of Children and Families and our managing entity were shocked as we were when they found out that this had happened.
Gentlemen, I know that you can't go into the negotiations room up in Tallahassee, but you know, I mean, we can't be reporting more about the opioid epidemic. What could have possibly gone up in Tallahassee where you're actually cutting money to programs that treat women who are dependent on opioids?
Well, I think there's a number of things that go on in those last conference discussions where you put together the House and Senate thing. The main thing is that nobody knows what goes on unless sources leak things. So much is happening in an $80 billion budget that it's entirely possible that chunks such as this and the implications of them that PJ just outlined were not even realized during that conference because the budget is so large and complicated, number one. Number two, and this is something that is an ongoing frustration for me, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone, is that you have such a closed-door possibility going on there. And you do because the legislature, just like Congress, is consistently passing laws for everybody else to live under that they don't. In this case, Sunshine Law. The county commission here in Sarasota, the school board, everybody has to live under the Sunshine Law that the legislature passed a long time ago, but the legislature does not, and that's a problem.
Frank, are you stunned because if there's anything that we know in Florida right now is that we are in the grasp of an epidemic that is killing, as we said, a record number of people, not only on the Suncoast, but from Miami to Tallahassee?
Yes, I'm shocked. It's frightening to think that the legislature would be cutting programs that are vital and so counterintuitive at this moment, but it is what it is. If not, then I'm even more shocked. I cannot understand right now why this program would be cut given the conditions that we're in.
We also reported that we are getting millions of dollars in federal funding that we pushed through, and Vern Buchanan helped push that through to tackle the declaration of a state of emergency in Florida. But PJ, you also say there are some strings on that which does not prevent you from being able to do what you need to do.
The emphasis of the funding is towards medication-assisted therapy, which could include Suboxone, methadone, and Vivitrol. But unfortunately, it does not include access to residential treatment for individuals who need to be out of their community and get care, or detoxification services. So a big linchpin to success with treatment are those two efforts, and unfortunately those are not included.
We have only about 30 seconds left, but I'm wondering if anybody, whether they're in Congress or the state legislature, consults to actual medical and addiction professionals for the do's and don'ts here.
I think they cut first and ask questions later.
All right, we're going to leave it there for now. We are just getting started, and we'll pick up the discussion right after we check on the weather.
Are you a soccer mom or dad? Regardless of their age or experience level, when your kids play soccer or any other sport, there's one person on the sideline who is key to help recognize and seek medical care for sports-related concussion. It's you. You need to know the signs and symptoms of concussion, and you need to act if you think your child has been injured. Remember, when in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View. I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. We get ready for Memorial Day weekend by shopping at St. Armand's Circle, plus a touching Sounds of the Suncoast and Yo Sushi in the kitchen. Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wanna Be Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabeinn.com.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
Our discussion of opioid addiction and funding for treatment continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Well, some rain around, Alan. This evening, we have some showers, even a few thunderstorms, a sign of things to come, but not usually until mid-June do we see those on a regular basis come up in shower and thunderstorm activity associated with the sea breeze front. Out here near the water, not much going on in Sarasota County. Looking out over Sarasota Bay from the Van Wezel webcam, a beautiful sunset tonight expected just after 8 o'clock, and we are anticipating, it looks like, the dry conditions to continue. Now, this is the look at the drought and how bad it is. You can see right there in the central Florida, it's on the extreme side, severe elsewhere around our immediate viewing area. So we could use about 8 inches of rain, not all at once, obviously, but over a course of several days would be nice. That burn ban continues to be in effect across much of the peninsula, but just only a few counties not in that burn ban right now, and that will stay with us too for the foreseeable future. We are looking at the rain now. We had a few showers earlier into Highlands County, and then this line popped up along the sea breeze front, mainly into Charlotte County now. And you saw this symbol right here. This indicates that we did see a funnel cloud just around 6:20 or so this evening. Funnel cloud, no damage associated with it, just to the east of the Punta Gorda Airport. Right now, though, occasional lightning strikes with these cells as they make their way into southeastern portions of Sarasota County and into western Charlotte County. We are looking at rain into Rotunda and Inglewood here in the next half hour to 45 minutes as this makes its way to the west-southwest at around 10 to 15 miles an hour. One lone shower still lingering into eastern sections of Highlands County. Currently, we have 86 degrees, sunshine, and 68 at the airport here at the Sarasota-Bradian Airport. The winds are out of the northwest at 13, and the pressure 29.88 inches. The high today was 94, just 1 degree shy of the tying the record high of 95 set back in 1995, and no rainfall to report for the year thus far. We're at 9.16 inches below average, nearly 10 inches here pretty soon. Winds will be out of the east, and they'll stay out of the east, and it looks as though we will see the possibility of another sea breeze front developing tomorrow afternoon and bring us a slight chance for a few late day showers tomorrow afternoon. Highs will still be warm in the low 90s, even some mid 90s like we saw today, and that's bad news for firefighters who are out there battling those fires and temperatures that are exceeding 90 degrees right now. You can see that large dome of high pressure keeping things really quiet across the southeast. Well, for boaters tomorrow, we'll start off with a bit of a breeze at 15 knots, and then seas running right around 2 feet, and the next tide is a low tide upcoming at 11:40. The extended forecast does call for just a slight chance for a few scattered showers. Alan will be back right after this.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View. It's the unofficial start of summer, and that means summer shopping. I'm Stephanie Roberts. On Suncoast View, we look at the trendiest new products from St. Armand's Circle and get ready for your Memorial Day celebrations. How do you know a pilot can keep you safe in the air? Gulf Coast Medical Group walks us through the checkups that local pilots need to pass. Plus, sounds of the Suncoast and Yo Sushi in the kitchen. Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Today, the air is perfect. Inside. Expect cooling and heating. Daikin.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing opioid addiction on the Suncoast and across the nation and how the American Health Care Act could impact treatment in some states. Our guests tonight are PJ Brooks of the First Step Addiction Recovery, Frank Alcock of New College of Florida, and Rod Thompson of the Sarasota Republican Club. So let's get to the American Health Care Act. Right now, it is estimated 1.3 million Americans receive treatment for mental health and substance abuse because of the Medicaid expansion. Somebody who is with Johns Hopkins said that of the Republican health care plan, taken as a whole, it is a major retreat from the efforts to save the lives in the opioid epidemic. Rod, I know you're not for the Medicaid expansion, but what would you do here?
Well, I would put it more at the state level. I'm not for that Medicaid expansion. I wasn't for it at the time. I was glad Governor Scott didn't take it because this was going to be one of two things that was going to happen, either this or all of the rest of the cost was going to come to the state. So he was wise not to. So Florida is not facing any cuts in that area. But to me, in a philosophic level, this is the type of thing where that government, which is closest to the people, is best. Really, as much as you can have local programs such as PJ, such as others, handling them. And I think that the county commission should be involved with this. I think that there's a lot of ways that this can be handled outside of Washington. Because here's the problem. I just want to say, just in a bigger picture, if I can, that there's no way that Washington can make a decision that's good for Butte, Montana, and rural Iowa, and Miami-Dade, and L.A. There's no way.
Okay, so left to its own devices, as we just reported, Florida is cutting $250,000 to First Step for residential care.
And I guarantee you there will be repercussions for that. And this is how the process works. There will be repercussions for that happening. I mean, there just will be. And we might find out there's more to it because, as we know, because it was done behind closed doors, like it always has been behind closed doors, more may come out. But that particular decision, I think that they're going to feel repercussions for. They would from me.
Frank?
There's some legitimate cost concerns about Medicaid and certainly ideas for reforming that program or looking to best practices in other states. I do get that. But this is pretty simple. We're talking about millions of people that will not get treatment for both mental health and drug addiction if we pull back. For a million people you just heard, and probably going out in another 5 or 10 years, we're talking about millions. Medicaid coverage will be the difference maker to whether or not they get treatment. And so, you can run around all you want. If you pull back on Medicaid, you're talking about millions of people that will not get treatment that could have otherwise gotten treatment.
Is it fair to raise the question about whether it is hypocritical to talk about being a leader in the fight against the opioid epidemic, but going to Florida, going back to Washington and voting for a plan that would actually cut coverage for it?
Well, but as I understand it, that budget actually increased specific coverage for opioid to Florida. That was something Vern Buchanan pushed for, and that was something that is consistent with what Trump has talked about on the stump. So I think there's some consistency there. What Frank is talking about is a broader issue in the cuts in the AHCA, but on the specifics of the opioid epidemic, I think that Congressman Buchanan and President Trump were consistent on it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Once again, the strings from Washington, PJ, is that money that's coming into the state cannot be used for residential care.
Correct. We need this. We need the supports, and we need those dollars to be able to provide what care we can. The problem is it has a limited scope of care. But as we roll it out, we're going to have individuals who are going to have access to medication-assisted therapies. But oftentimes, that should take place as they're getting into a detox facility or in a residential facility.
Frank?
And with the health care bill that's made it through the House, it's not just the low income. I think that's certainly, if there's one thing that I had to point to where the most people will be put at risk, it's at that low income bracket. It's sort of on the margins of Medicaid and where Medicaid is going, reformed or not. But there are other elements of the changes to our health care law that will allow health insurance companies to discriminate on the basis of income, age, a number of risk factors that probably will put a number of people that are vulnerable. They'll put them in a position where their cost of access is going to be increasing and they're not going to get coverage.
Let me ask you all this. There was a big story in the Tampa Times today about a local member of Congress to the north, Gus Bilirakis, who is in northern Pinellas County and Pasco County, who held town hall after town hall a couple months ago where people were pleading with him for inclusion of a lot of these things in the Republican plan, and he says, I hear you, I'm going to take it back to Washington, and he wound up voting for this plan anyway, saying, hey, it's going to go to the Senate, and it's going to be changed, and by the time it gets back to the House, you know, it'll be all good.
That's weak. I mean, I don't like that. It's going to go to the Senate, and the Senate will fix what we screwed up. I mean, that's not leadership in Congress at all, to be speaking that way. I don't care for that at all. But the bill also is creating a pool for low-income people. So that the problem is, when Frank was talking about how it allows insurance companies to do more, clearly what we have right now, not to get too far off track, but Obamacare is failing. I mean, Aetna's pulled out completely. You have so many of the major insurers have pulled out. It is a failing program, so it has to be fixed somehow. The AHCA is an attempt to fix it by ensuring that we don't lose the insurance companies in the market, that keeping them healthy enough to continue, while also providing a pool of money for the low-income people that Frank's talking about.
Frank, you have acknowledged that there are things in the Affordable Care Act that have to be fixed. Is this fixing it?
No, there are some elements of the Affordable Health Care Act that are working really well. There are some areas and markets, state and exchange markets in particular, that are not working well. So I think creating the low-risk pools, in principle, it sounds fine, but looking at the degree of risk that the individuals within this pool are going to bring with them, coupled with how much money is being thrown at it, it's just that the math doesn't work. One or two things are going to happen. The premiums are going to be exorbitantly high, and people are not going to be able to use those pools to get health care coverage, or states are going to have to come in and invest more than they would have under the Affordable Health Care Act.
PJ, are you in a situation where either you're getting the federal funding with strings from Washington or state funding with strings from Tallahassee, and it's basically the strings are tying you into knots?
That's an interesting analogy. I hadn't thought of it that way. We have our challenges, we really do, because there's a lot of expectations that often aren't driven by the treatment needs in terms of how things are allocated and the expectations around how funding is used.
Specifically,
well,
what do you mean?
If we had the flexibility to provide the continuum of care for individuals, never mind what silo they fit in and what category they're in, that we could give them the care, we'd see marked changes in terms of what people could experience. If they could get the medication-assisted therapy while getting involved with residential care on an equal continuum. This is a chronic disease. If you were to limit, just like diabetes, if you were to limit how many insulin shots someone got and say, come back in January and we'll give you 5 more when you're ready, I mean, would anybody who had diabetes tolerate that experience? But that's how we live oftentimes in the substance abuse and mental health world.
You know, and we haven't even covered, people who have private insurance, and the addiction, the coverage for addiction services is even limited in that. And most families, even if they have private insurance, cannot afford this. Anyone?
There's a lot of things in life that can't be afforded. One of the problems that I have in the conversation here is when we talk about cutting millions from Medicaid, and so we're going to be putting several million at risk. There were also, even at this point, there were a lot of people that weren't covered. The solution is always more money, more money, more money. But the problem is that never actually fixes problems. Clearly, in this case, in an opioid epidemic like this, we might need more money. But the concept that we always just need to spend more money, and any time we try and retrench at all, we're causing damage, I think that's a poor philosophy also.
You're saying in this case we may need more money?
In the opioid one?
Yes.
Yeah, we may.
Okay. Let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about Friday's topic, the fallout from the firing of James Comey.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
For years, I've told everyone my Craftmatic adjustable bed was the greatest until I got the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has an adjustable pillow feature that's awesome. You're gonna want one too when you see how little they cost.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less. Featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest, bedside power plugs, underbed night lights, and more. Available in all mattress types with optional heat and soothing massage for as much as half the price of Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables. Enjoy temporary relief of low back pain, nighttime heartburn, mild arthritis. Adjust the rising pillow feature to help align your head, neck, and shoulders. See for yourself with our 30-day in-home trial. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You got to see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-237-0214. That's 1-800-237-0214. Call 1-800-237-0214. Call now.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112.
It's no small wonder anybody loves it all.
I just love art that moves me.
No small,
I mean, really moves me.
wonder.
Sunset Fiat of Sarasota presents No Small Wonder. High performance style. Let the art of Fiat move you.
Could the American Health Care Act impact opioid addiction treatment in states sorely needing it, and what more can be done to help those who are suffering? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Frank, I know there was something that you wanted to say in terms of where we're going with the Affordable Care Act, and what is that?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen with this bill that's coming out of the Senate. Whether I think it will come out of the Senate, whether you can reconcile the House and the Senate version, I'm not so sure. I do think there are some changes that need to be made to the Affordable Care Act, particularly in the state insurance markets. It's just a problem that's going to take a while to fix.
You know, Ryan, you're president of the Republican Club here, but you do have a problem with the way your party has handled this entire debate in terms of the party has been against the Affordable Care Act for these 8 years, got into office, and does not have a well-worked plan.
Right. Well, for real conservatives like me within the Republican Party, we've long been frustrated that the party people Republicans tend to run to their base and then govern somewhere to the center. You know, that's like that fixed wisdom we have out there. So they're always promising repeal Obamacare. Then when they were in office, and when, President Obama, a Democrat, was in office, they were able to pass all these bills that they knew darn well were never going to see the light of day. Then once we have all three branches like we wanted, like we all pushed for and wanted, then they're totally unprepared with what to do, and it sort of felt a little bit like we don't have a campaign issue anymore. That's not what the base ever wanted.
I do want to end this on some very good news, and PJ, it deals with the I believe 400th baby born.
411th.
Born not addicted to any.
Since our inception, we just as of today had our 400th child, female baby born today, and that represents just huge. Just think about that. We have a child who has a clear start going into the world, and there's 411 of its peers that are now moving forward into the world.
Yeah, even with that good news, you have a real big reason to be concerned about your ability to continue with that mission.
We do. We can argue politics. All I know is that from national on down to our state, we have declared this as a public health crisis. We have a state of emergency. Well, then, how do we address it? Well, I don't think we give it. We need to give it the attention it really, really needs. And I think that includes however funding needs to be allocated, freeing up resources, however it needs to work.
And we'll have to leave it there. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about Friday's topic, the fallout from President Trump's firing of FBI Director James Comey. The search for a new FBI director is now underway. However, Washington is still reeling from the firing, which comes as the FBI is investigating possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Further complicating the matter, President Trump appeared to threaten Comey with a tweet suggesting their conversations were taped. Here's what some of you are saying. Dick Neal writes, people are just too ignorant to see what's really going on here. If you love this country, you had to get better a grip before too much damage is done by this moron. His approval rating is the lowest for one reason and one reason only. Mike Barbario writes, the more liberal heads continue to explode, the better. I can't get enough of this stuff. After enduring 8 years of hell, keep pushing your agenda, Mr. President, and let's move on to the next SCOTUS nominee this summer. Can't wait. Hashtag Make America Great Again. And Mike Gonzalez writes, there are more important issues facing our nation than this. Media is always trying to stir up drama. Enough. Let's move on. Hey, Mark, hate to break it to you, the media isn't stirring up drama. We're reporting what the president does, says, and yes, what he tweets. Has the opioid epidemic affected your family, and what do you think about funding for treatment? Join the conversation by visiting our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, you can watch past roundtable discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. PJ Brooks is Vice President of Outpatient and Youth Services at First Step Addiction Recovery in Sarasota. Frank Alcock is Professor of Political Science at New College of Florida, and Rod Thompson is the President of the Sarasota Republican Club. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather, plus the largest cyber attack ever. We'll have the latest on the so-called WannaCry virus and how it's wreaking global havoc.
It's been about a month, and I can honestly say I've seen the change in me. I went from being a depressed girl who didn't want help to this happy, caring girl who loves helping other people. I just really hope that people that went through what I went through get the help that they need, because their story is important and they are loved. Thank you so much for everything.
Drive into Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota and discover big savings during the Drive and Discover event. Come shop the Suncoast's largest selection of Ram trucks. Get maximum cargo space and more comfort with a new Ram Quad Cab for as low as $24,999. Or get more legroom and maximum comfort with a new Ram Crew Cab and save up to $10,000. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Some pretty good rain falling in parts of the Suncoast right now. It's not over a widespread area, but it's indicative of what we're starting to see, a little bit of a pattern in those afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms, which will really get going, I think, by mid-June. That's typically when it really starts to fire up. But this is a little precursor to it. You saw a funnel cloud, too, southeast of the Punta Gorda Airport just after 6:15 this evening. And then the shower activity pushing off toward the west and bringing some rain into Cedar, Rotunda, even into Englewood now, a little bit of shower activity pushing off toward, again, Minnesota Beach. You can see that rainfall fairly heavy near Grove City and along 776 down into western portions of Charlotte County. The rain will be heading toward Minnesota Key here in just the next 10-15 minutes. There's another line of showers that will start to develop, too, along the outflow boundary from the storms that were around in the interior portions of our viewing area. You see that kind of working its way off toward the west. It met the west coast sea breeze right there. So we're starting to get some rainfall developing near Fruitville and I-75 up to near Lakewood Ranch. Wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 showers there. 86 degrees right now, and you reverse those numbers for our dew point now at 68 degrees. The high today was a hot one, 94, and the record high 95, so just 1 degree shy of that in terms of record high temperatures today. Now, it looks like the wind will stay generally out of the east-northeast overnight, anywhere from 5 to 10 miles an hour, and then pick up out of the west in the afternoon and evening with the sea breeze developing. And that's when we'll see another chance for a few showers and a few storms popping up along the sea breeze front tomorrow, late afternoon and evening. Not a lot, but a few will be around, and the rain chance only at 20%. High temperatures will be warm in the low 90s right on in through the day, the afternoon hours. Northeast, low pressure area spinning its way off toward the Atlantic right now, and some big storms into Wisconsin and Iowa. These are severe right now in the northern sections of Iowa, and severe weather also being reported into Oklahoma and Kansas tonight. For boaters, tomorrow it looks like this. Winds will be out of the east to start the morning off at 15 knots, and then seas running right around 2 feet with a moderate chop. Water temperature now at 83 degrees, and look for seas to be running 2 feet or less. 7-day forecast looks like this. A slight chance for showers on Tuesday and Wednesday in the afternoon and evening. And then a little bit better chance for some scattered storms on Saturday and Sunday. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
Introducing the all-new Alfa Romeo Giulia, a performance masterpiece. Race-inspired handling and lightning-fast response times take your drive to the next level. Find yours at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain. If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Giulia from Alfa Romeo. Appearance. Performance. Power. Find yours at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Now for your primetime headlines. It's being called the biggest cyber attack in the history of the internet, as a new ransomware virus has now spread to at least 150 countries. The breach hitting more than 200,000 hospitals, corporations, and government agencies across 6 continents. Hackers are holding data hostage, demanding a ransom paid in bitcoins. Experts are warning there could be similar attacks to follow.
We're now into a world where this is now an everyday occurrence.
The White House says it believes the attack is under control, but still represents an extremely serious threat. The White House is back in federal court defending its revised travel ban. Today, judges of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit heard the case. ABC's Danya Bacchus has the latest.
Trump administration attorneys back in court.
How is a court to know if, in fact, it's a Muslim ban in the guise of national security?
Once again, they are arguing to save the president's travel ban. The first version was blocked by the courts. The second version also halted. Monday, White House attorneys looking to reinstate that order, blocking the entry of foreign nationals from 6 majority Muslim countries.
What the president found was he said, look, I find that it would be detrimental to let in their nationals for a brief period of 90 days while I ascertain whether the vetting procedures that we have in place for these countries are actually adequate.
The arguments were heard in Seattle before a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit.
This is nationality-based discrimination.
In its challenge, the state of Hawaii arguing statements like this one from then-candidate Trump.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Proves the executive order at its heart is a Muslim ban.
Our point was that an objective observer looking all this would have no other conclusion but that this executive order is trying to denigrate a religion.
Last week, the case went before the 4th Circuit Court of Appeals. The administration needs to win both the 4th and 9th Circuits in order to implement the travel ban. Danya Backus, ABC News, Los Angeles.
There are new calls tonight for an ethics investigation into Suncoast Congressman Tom Rooney. The American Democracy Legal Fund claims Rooney violated House rules by issuing a sharply worded press release about U.S. Senator Bill Nelson. Rooney sent out the release in March saying he was extremely disappointed in the Democrats' decision to oppose Neil Gorsuch's confirmation to the Supreme Court. Rooney wrote, quote, "I hope Florida voters replace him next year." A formal complaint is being filed against Rooney for using his government website for political purposes. Governor Rick Scott is planning to challenge Senator Nelson in 2018 and is hoping successes under his watch will help him, including record number of tourism jobs. Today, the governor is announcing more than 31 million people came to Florida during the first 3 months of the year, a 2.5% increase over last year. Overall, nearly 113 million tourists came to the state. However, Scott is warning cuts to the state's tourism marketing agency could doom continuing growth. State legislators voted to cut 2/3 of the funds to Visit Florida. Scott could veto the budget to block the cuts. The Florida Lottery is also reporting record sales. In April, people spent more than $528 million on various games. Sales are up 25% in the past 5 years, and the lottery says it is no accident.
We have to listen to our players. We do a lot of research with our players to find out what it is they want us to provide. And all those things combined have helped us really have some record years.
60% of the money paid into the lottery goes to players, while the majority of the remaining funds goes towards state education. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.